In this brief tutorial, I'm going to discuss a design and composition technique called the rule of thirds. In a rule of thirds, you break your canvas down into a grid system that looks like this, where there are 4 intersecting points and 3 rows and 3 columns. And the goal with the rule of thirds when composing is you want to put areas of primary focus on either any of these lines, these grid lines, often at the points of intersection. And over time, we have become accustomed in Western culture to find that when we put images on in the rule of thirds, and specifically on these intersecting points, those images become more dramatic and what we call more balanced. This is not balanced in terms of centering. That is another technique that often works, and we center things in this center row of the grid. Here we are looking for having items of focus either on the left or the right or the top and the bottom. Let me show you some examples from photography and design. First, we have this image that I took of this double rainbow. And you'll notice that the brighter of the rainbow is intersecting the top right rule of thirds grid point. And the horizon is placed immediately on the lower horizontal row of the rule of thirds. This provides what we call a balanced and a nice dramatic image. If, for example, if the image was positioned, say, like this, it does not give as nice a composition for it. It is not what we call balanced. And it does not look nearly as good. However, when we pop it back here, it has a very nice presentation. Same would go as if we tried something similar, but it was too low. This does not look as balanced or dramatic either, because the horizon line is not on this grid line. This is a much more pleasing image to look at. We could also look at another one. This is a macro photograph of, I'm not sure what plant this was, this bud. We can see that it is intersecting. The bud itself and this little stem here is intersecting on the right line and then at the intersecting point. The photograph would not look nearly as pleasing if it was just simply like that, where it was off, or even this way. It does not look nearly as pleasing. It looks much more pleasing when we have it on that intersecting location in the rule of thirds. To get these to show up, we go to File, Settings, Add Grids, and you'll be able to click on the 3x3 grid. Right now we've been working on this 12 column one. We can use both, going back and forth to make sure our designs are both. We can use this for the construction, but also this one will give us the rule of thirds layout. Let me show you another example in terms of a poster design, which we're going to be doing. Here is a poster design, and I've got the rule of thirds grid on it. And you'll notice that this background image, this flex camera, is directly lined up along the the camera is sort of centered, and the lenses are just touching this rule of thirds, left rule of thirds line. And the title is actually centered within the left column of the rule of thirds. So this one has that, which gives us this really nice negative space. We see this again here in this poster, where all 3 of the cameras in this poster, not a very nice poster, but are positioned along the top rule of thirds line, and everything else is sort of centered down within. The subheadings here are positioned beginning at the lower rule of thirds line, so that gives us that nice pleasing balance. Here is one that a student made in the past, where A Journey Through Space about space exploration. The rocket launch image they found is positioned just about on the rule of thirds upper right intersecting point, providing a nice visual. And the eye line allows us to come up through here, and we read the title, and then we come down. We get this great negative space in here. One other one that is more much more different than those, we still have the primary centering of these intersecting areas, this banner, this banner, this banner, which have been tilted obviously. The center of that, this A, is positioned directly on the upper right rule of thirds line. So that gives us a nice balanced view because we are positioning that important moment in the vertical centering right on that point. And we could see how it also intersects over there, and it just gives us a nice dramatic feel as we are moving into this upper one. So as you are doing your compositions, as you are creating your posters, I want you to think both about using the grid lines as we have done for alignment, but also thinking about the composition in terms of the rule of thirds, so that your main focal areas are positioned on those points that provide the most balance and the most drama, either the lines themselves or the intersecting points. And if you have any questions, let me know.